4.
Shout echoes heavy, sharp as a fight. Alan steady with the facts, sharp and true. Fuji's fire breaks the calm, splits it in two. Pattison Ave, where the wild hearts run. Talking sports, games, battles, lost and won. Voices rise, break chains, ignite the flame. Fanatic thunder echoing the name.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Pattison Ave Phanatics show. I'm your host, Tom Kelly. With me, as always, Alan Andrew Cabbage.
What's going on, fellas? How are you on this Tuesday evening?
Mike Fuji in the building.
How's everybody doing? The Rocky Roundtable's here tonight. Everybody get fired up, firing your questions. What's going on, fellas?
And we got a couple of special guests in studio. Tony Tornado.
What's up?
And Mike Sherman joining us.
Is it hot enough outside for everyone?
Oh, that's one of my favorite questions as a former FedEx driver.
You want me to answer?
I did 6 miles out there yesterday. Felt pretty good.
God bless you, brother. God bless you. I wouldn't drive 6 miles in this if I didn't have to.
I was in a big brown truck all day. Yeah.
When I used to box on these days like today, we would actually shut the doors, turn the heat on, and then you had imbeciles like me putting trash bags on.
I
never failed to make weight once.
There you go.
Training and regular life are two totally different monsters.
Yes.
Well, look, we have a special Pattison Ave Phanatics show tonight. We're in the dog days of summer, even though the Phils have taken back over first place from the Mets. The Eagles are, we're still in OTA mode. We're not even in training camp mode yet. We got another month or so to go before we get to training camp mode. And, watching the NBA Finals this past week, the Sixers are nowhere near ready to compete for anything anytime soon. And the Flyers, even though Tockett's now in as head coach, which I'm a fan of, there's still some work that's got to be done there. But we're in the dog days of summer. So here on the Pattison Ave Phanatics, I thought it would be fun if we took a trip into the Rockyverse and did a Rocky Roundtable. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and since Fuji has joined the program, Fuji and I have been bouncing the idea around for a while, so we wanted to kind of get this together. Now, I'm gonna start it off very generic, question-wise, but before I do, I want to start with the characters of Rocky. And here's my little breakdown. Everybody sees this guy. This is the guy that everybody sees and everybody relates to. This is Rocky Balboa in his prime. This is probably just after smacking Clubber Lang around and right before he fights Ivan Drago. And this is the guy that everybody relates to. This is the guy that I relate to. Growing up in South Philly, I was always just another bum from the neighborhood, so to speak, just joking around, tongue in cheek. But there's a lot of people that relate to these movies looking at the first guy that I put up there. And when I look at it, I mean, the second picture that I put up there, that's every other guy I knew growing up in South Philly. So for me, the movies grab everybody a little bit differently. But for me, it was kind of like watching my old man was younger in the early 70s where Rocky was supposed to initially take place. And, that's kind of every other guy I knew growing up in the neighborhood. But let's get started. Tony, I want to kick it right to you. I know you keep voluminous notes, as Jeffrey Lurie would say, on your Rocky movies. I was reading over some of it. Give me your breakdown on your favorite movies.
I will
worst
say
first to worst, I should say.
First to worst. The original Rocky is by far my favorite movie of all time, not just the franchise. And if you go back and you look at Rocky, just like you were saying, that character is just like he's like an everyday guy on the street. If you go back and you look at that first movie, before he gets the shot at Apollo, look at how everybody treats him. And I'm talking about Buddy, Gazzo's driver, Gazzo himself, telling him, basically, look at me, Rock. When I tell you to do something, you do it. Adrian's boss, you going to pay for that, Rockhead? Paulie, he's bitter and belligerent. Mickey, treats him like dirt, throws him out of his locker. Little Marie on the street corner. Everybody treats this guy poorly. Even he gets out of the ring after winning the fight, and people are calling him you're a bum. The only guy really that gave him any respect in the beginning of that was Mike in the gym, who was the one that removed him from his locker.
Yep.
He was like, "Oh, come on, Rock, I got to do what Mickey tells me." But Mike was still always, in a way, nice to Rocky, the only person. And then finally, he gets this shot, and then people want to talk to him. Now Mickey wants to train him. Mickey wants to be his manager, and he's like, "Yeah, where were you 6 years ago when I needed you?"
Yep.
Now you have a chance to, cash in off me. But where were you when I needed you? And then they end up, forming a partnership because neither of them could succeed without each other.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Same thing with Paulie too. Hey,
yeah.
Who wanted to talk to me yesterday? I think I'll train on my own. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now, I will tell you, in the franchise overall, my favorite, I would say time frame goes from win to yo, Adrian, I did it. So from when she wakes up and she tells him go win that fight, and the music starts, and then that montage, which is still my favorite montage, to the second fight with Apollo, the double knockdown, the dramatic getting up at the count of 10, to the yo, Adrian, I did it. Hands down, my favorite space of the entire franchise.
Yes.
Adrian,
I did it. That is, yep.
I can't disagree. Mike, since you're a special guest on here, I'll give you second crack at this one. How about you? In the Rocky verse, where are you going? Are you like most of us? Is one your favorite, or you got something else going on?
Rocky 2 is my favorite. It's the one where he finally wins the fight. I respect it 100%. If anybody wants to go with the original Rocky or Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 or any other movie within the franchise, respect it 100%. But for me, Rocky 2 is the film where he finally wins the fight. As Tornado spoke about before, when Adrian says to Rocky, I got something for you, win. What are we waiting for? Take it. And it just goes into the montage, and the fight is fantastic. And, after the second round, when Rocky says, I ain't going down no more, you knew the fight was on. It was going to be great. And is it a big cliche that they both go down and he's the one who gets up at 10 and Apollo falls to the ground? Maybe, but that montage is just amazing. The fight is amazing. I love in Rocky 2 when Apollo's winning the whole fight, and I believe it's after round 9, and one of the announcers, Stu Nahan, I believe, says, you got to think what's going on in Apollo's mind. He just lost his first round. I got to give that round to Rocky. It's so moving and so inspirational. For me, it's the second Rocky.
Okay. Fuge, how about you, Fuge?
I don't know if I could say this, but I'm going to say 2/3 because, just what Mike was saying, going the distance, and, when they both get knocked down, the refs counting the 10, and then Apollo's getting up quicker, holding on to the ring post. He falls down, and Rocky gets up like staggering. He was like out on his feet, but then, the end of Rocky 2 when he goes into Rocky 3 is just, like he used to say, I'm just another bum from the neighborhood. It's when he became civilized, and, he fought, like Big Yank and the German champ in the beginning in Rocky 3. Right before the Rocky statue, and Clubber Lang greets, at the art museum.
That's a big moment with Clubber Lang.
Rocky came into his own after 10 title defenses.
So Alan, where do you go on this?
Dude, I gotta agree with Mike. Both Mikes. Number 2, when he finally does it, is my favorite Rocky. But the speech in Balboa that he gives his son about how
life ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
Yes, that speech. I'm thinking about it right now. I got chills.
Absolutely.
But that part of that movie, I don't know. To me, that might even overshadow the second one. Just that moment. It's
so,
that moment's so powerful in so many different ways. I know Tom, you got You got children. I'm sure some of these other guys got kids. Like that moment in time is like, it's
Thank
just
you,
powerful.
Justin.
It's just powerful.
So for me, my fandom, my favorite, it morphed. Growing up as a kid, it was Rocky IV. It was larger than life. It was at that time when I was young that all that stuff. It was basically like Stallone was like, "What's going on in the world?" Yeah, let's draw from that. I mean, it was almost a no-fail situation, you know. And then David and Goliath, Rocky fighting the Russian. You know, the Russian training with modern technology and everything modern. Rocky's dragging a piece of wood around the entire time, like it's, you know. And then
running through the snow, yeah.
As I got older, I did gravitate towards Rocky too. But that, like I guess that youthfulness, that youth part of me when I was a kid, you know, at the end of Rocky III, the beginning of Rocky IV, where the gloves are slowly turning. Oh man, like I'm getting chills thinking about it. Like talk about drawing you in and getting you ready for something. That's absolutely.
So Tom, funny you say that, because you know I was born in '76, so when I was 3 when Rocky II came out, so I like it would be on TV, like network TV, and you'd catch it when it was on. Rocky III was the first one I really gravitated to because I had just gotten cable, and I was 6 years old. And you know, if I always say if you want to introduce a younger generation to Rocky, start with 3 and 4 because they don't get bored with the character development in the beginnings of 1 and 2. You know, 1, you got to build up the characters, and 2, then you got to navigate, you know, Rocky trying to adjust back to life. So there's a lot of downtime in that, which as an adult you can really appreciate the good writing and the good acting. So I grew up.
That's a really good point, Tony.
Yeah, Rocky III was my first go-to, and then Rocky IV came out when I was 9. So ironically, a couple years ago, we're over my friend's house, and we flipped on, and Rocky IV was on. And just as Drago was coming into the ring, they were raising him into the ring in Vegas when he's going to fight Apollo. And my nephew was 4 years old. He walks in the room, and he looks at this, and he goes, "What's this on TV?" And I said, "This is Rocky IV." And he goes, "I don't like Rocky IV." I said, "Listen, you, I will ungodfather you right now. I will take you back up to that church, and I will rub that oil out of your head that I put in there 4 years ago." And he stops, and Apollo starts to do the entrance, and he goes, "Who's that guy?" I said, "That's Apollo Creed." And he looks and he goes, "He dresses like you." I said, "Yes, he does." Yes, he does. I love
that. That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Let me ask you guys this. Did you guys see the director's cut of Rocky IV, Rocky versus Drago, that came out in 21?
Yeah.
No, I did not. But
it's going to be re-released in the theater, I believe, this year. So Stallone recut all of Rocky IV, and I made a joke because he cut so much of Brigitte Nielsen out because I guess they have like a poor relationship now.
Yeah.
That if he ever remade remade Cobra, she'd get killed off in the first scene. But he added scenes. He extended the fight with Apollo, where Apollo gets up from a knockdown and tries to fight back. He added, but he cut so much it was kind of choppy. I found a guy on YouTube that recut both of those movies together. So he kept the added scenes. He also, what I didn't like in the director's cut was the opening. They made a little bit longer, but they went with that song "Sweetest Victory" that was never in any of the movies, just on the soundtrack, and it didn't fit. It did not fit at all. He went back and he used more of the original score to it. He sent me the link, and I downloaded it to a flash drive so I can plug it into my TV and watch it. It's a 2-hour Rocky IV epic, and if you guys want, I can send it to you.
1,000,000%. I want
Absolutely.
that in my life. I want that in my life sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Let me roll into this. So there's in the movies. There's a lot of locations in the movies. Okay. Rocky's first apartment, Mick's gym. You know, the spectrum gets talked about a lot. I'm going to ask you guys, what are some of your favorite locations? Now, I'll give you mine to start this off with. in the scene in Rocky 2 where they're going to buy the house for the first time, and as he's walking in, he rubs his hand across the address and says these numbers almost add up to 10, which they actually add up to 10. But that was the kind of that was the charm that Rocky would give you.
Yeah.
That's 2313 Lambert Street in South Philly. So my last FedEx route that I ever ran, I ran down in South Philly in the 19145, and I actually delivered to 2313 Lambert Street. And as I look at the house, I'm like, man, this house really looks familiar. And then I'm sitting there on my couch 2 weeks later watching Rocky 2. When that scene, I'm like, that's why that house looked familiar.
Yeah.
So that for me, that his first house that him and Adrian bought, 2313 Lambert Street, is my favorite location that they did in the movies. Mike, I'll kick it to you. What? Give me any. I mean, it could be the gym, it could be his mansion. In Rocky 4, give me a location that stands out in your mind for the Rocky series.
I'm gonna go Rocky 3, the Art Museum steps. Don't give no man no statue. Perfect. Give him guts.
Give him guts.
Just a fantastic scene, representative of Philadelphia. They sent him with the statue, and as honored as Rocky is that he's about to retire, Upper Lang has something to say about it, and it's a great line, and it provokes the whole fight in it. And we're not going to get into the scene that happens after that between Rocky and Mick, but the scene or the location I'm going to go with for now is the Art Museum steps in Rocky 3.
Okay, Fuge, I'm going to throw it off to you. Give me a location, Fuge.
Out of any of the Rockies?
Sure, anything, anyone you want. Even 5.
We don't talk about 5.
I think just the whole, Philadelphia scenery, because when Apollo, after Mickey died, Apollo trained him. I know he took him out. I believe it was
L.A.
Yeah.
At least they made it to be L.A.
No, well, that's where Apollo was from, supposedly.
Right. I mean, just the whole, whether it was like Rocky, like Pat Steaks, the Italian market, just the whole ambiance of Philadelphia. Just
the scene, and I believe it's Rocky 2. I believe it was Rocky 2 where Gatso gave him money to train.
That was the first one.
Was it the first one? Okay. Were there 2 guys who were eating cheesesteaks outside of Pat's?
Yeah.
My dad worked with one of those guys. He was
nice.
Yeah, he was like I had to eat like 9 cheesesteaks for them to get the scene right. So
hey, whatever. Eat the damn cheesesteak. Enjoy it.
Barbara Burke checking in. The run up Italian Market 9th Street is the absolute best. Where they toss him the orange, turns around and catches it, keeps going. One of my buddies in a wedding had they came out to Rocky theme music. And they tossed him the orange as an homage to Rocky. So Rocky, I proposed to my first wife on the Art Museum steps. Like Rocky's kind of been, in my DNA growing up. Tony, I'm going to throw this one to you because I'm sure you got a location that'll stand out for us.
I will tell you a very special location to me for 2 reasons is the Art Museum. And the first time I ever went to the Art Museum, I saw the statue for the first time when it was at the outside the Philadelphia Spectrum. That's the first place I ever got my picture with it. Then they moved it back to the foot of the Art Museum steps. When they were filming the credits for Rocky Balboa, I was there. I filmed those credits. I got cut, but you can see my arm for 200 yards away, and I know that's my arm.
There you go. I love it. Hey, I'm in it. You're in it.
That was the first time. And then I had to go to the bathroom so bad, and I went inside, and the guy looked like the Junkyard Dog, the old wrestler.
Yeah,
like, are you in here to look at some artwork? And I'm like, you're here to go to the bathroom. And we laughed about it. But now the steps, they have that trailer at the foot of the steps there with the Rocky store. Has anybody been in it?
Not yet.
No, I've not been.
Go to it.
How long has this been there?
About 1.5 years.
Okay.
Remember they had Rocky Day last year when Sly was in town? It poured rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was the first person there that morning because they randomly picked about 50 people to get photos. And I say randomly because I wasn't one of them. So in my infinite wisdom, in December, I showed up in this. And I had a tracksuit over it. And I had an umbrella because it was pouring rain. By the time the tracksuit got so wet, I was in sleeveless, in shorts, for 9 hours. But I got there at 5:45 in the morning, figuring maybe I'll get a good spot. And there was then two other people showed up, and then a girl that I know came, and we were the first people to set foot inside that trailer.
That's crazy.
And I
Gotcha.
work right down on 19th and Market, so some days
Okay.
during lunch, I'll just break and walk to the art museum and go in the shop.
I got to check that out for sure.
Oh yeah,
I'll
They
park.
got
I'll
great-
park.
they
I'll
got
park back
great
up off of
sleeveless
Fairmount. And walk
hoodie.
down.
I got the gold robe from Rocky 3.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
They got the white robe from Rocky 4. They got hats, shirts, T-shirts. That's how on the Rockies shop online is how I got the Thunderlips cape a few years ago.
Now, who's running this? And is the Rocky like? Is this like on the sly that the Rocky people don't know about, or how does that work?
It's called the Sly Stallone shop.
Okay, so he's a part of it.
Because they had the Sly Stallone shop online has been open for 5-6 years.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and now it's basically like their physical location.
I didn't know they had a brick and mortar. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
right
awesome.
at the bottom of the Art Museum steps. It opened December 3rd of 2023.
Oh wow! Wow.
Now that's actually pretty cool. Now let's get into characters here. I'm just trying to keep the flow of the show moving because I know any one of us can veer off here.
Oh yeah.
My favorite location.
Oh yes, that's right. Go ahead, Alan.
When he runs over that bridge in Kensington,
Yeah.
we used to drive over that bridge to go see my uncle Jack. God rest his soul. We used to drive over that bridge all the time, and that's my spot. That's the moment when he runs over that thing.
Our producer Norm checking in says, "Looks like Cole County needs to do a small business Saturday show at the Rocky Shop." Absolutely,
Let's go.
absolutely. So look, I'm taking Rocky completely out of the equation. Okay. And I'll go last on this one. That way it'll give everyone a chance to get their favorite characters out there. Fuge, I'm gonna start with you. Give me your favorite non-Sylvester Stallone Rocky character in the franchise. It can be anyone you want, just can't be Rocky.
Probably have to say Paulie or Mickey.
I mean, they're gonna go quick. Mike, how about you? That's the guy right there.
I resonate so much with Mickey Goldmill, but the one that I'm going to throw out there is Hulk Hogan as Thunderlips.
Thunderlips.
How this guy did not get an Academy Award for the 7 to 8 minutes that he was on stage or in the film was just absolute. It was 8 minutes of pure gold.
Well, I mean, but he basically just cut a promo. That's all he did, and that's all he needed to do because he's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Which was great. I guess that's more of a cameo role. I'm going to go with Mickey Goldmill. As my favorite.
Okay, yeah, that's and we've Fuge informed us of your incredible Mickey impersonation, which we just got a little glimpse of earlier there. I'm a big fan. All right, Alan, I'm gonna throw it to you. Give me your favorite non-Rocky character from the movies.
My favorite non-Rocky character. Dude, my son's named after Adrian. She kept Rocky gold. Like she kept Rocky on the right path. And she didn't like it at first, right? But in that second movie, she's like, win. Like, that's like, yeah. So yeah, Adrian.
Yeah,
Couple of coconuts.
yeah, absolutely. Tony, how about you?
Guy.
Can you tell?
I had a fit.
The scene that really resonates a lot to me, and I play it a lot, is in Rocky 4 when Apollo, obviously the dance scene is amazing, but when he wants to take the fight with Drago, and they really expand on it in the Rocky Balboa, Rocky versus Drago director's cut, but he feels like time has passed him by, and we can't be born again. We're born with this killer instinct. You just can't turn off and on like some damn radio because we're the warriors. Well, the warrior may as well be dead, Stallion. That means so much to me, because a lot of times, as all of us, as we're getting older and we're maturing, and a lot of life is now in our rear view mirror, and you can't do what you used to do, and he goes, I don't want to change, I like who I am. And a lot of times I say that to myself.
I like who you are too.
Yeah, it's like I say that to myself. It's like, sometimes people say to me, Tony, why can't you change? Because I don't want to change, I like who I am.
Yep.
I love it.
That's good. That's good point. I like that.
So for me, and this kind of developed over time. I don't know if you guys noticed, but back in the early 90s, whenever Rocky would be on TV, you would get 1, you would get 2, you would get 4. 3 was so hard to catch on TV for some reason, for me anyway. And so
my boys have seen 4 more than any other one, because it's the one that comes on.
This guy for me was just like a phantom. Like I could never track him down. Clubber Lang, Mr. T, by far my favorite character in the entire Rocky series. And watching Mr. T act is a joy in and of itself. But watching him do it as a boxer, to Mike's point, when they're at the art museum and he starts trying to goat Rocky into the fight. And he's talking, he's giving it to Rocky. He's talking to Adrian and trying to get Rocky mad, which inevitably ends up working. To shoving Mickey to everything that kind of comes with him, because there's a lot of bad guys in Rocky. Drago didn't say much. Apollo said too much. I feel like Clubber Lang was perfect for me anyway, for this guy. So if I have to go characters, I'm absolutely going. I'm going for sure with Clubber Lang. Let me
Mr. T, baby. I love it.
Tony,
that's a good one.
give us the order of the rundown of your list from your. I have a list too. I'm actually more interested in yours. Give me your list from. Let's go worst. We already know your first, but let's go worst to first.
Well, and this concludes the Creed verse in there, because I marked them all together. And one of them is going to be a little controversial. So I'm going the wrong way. I put Creed 3 at the very bottom. I call it cinematic sludge. The storyline was terrible. The training montage was terrible. I hated the final fight. I say, after a Rocky movie, you want to get up. You want to do push-ups. You want to jump rope. You want to go running. This one, I went home, I ate a slice of pizza, and I went to bed.
All right, let's get this New York trash out of here now, Brandon McNulty. But thank you for checking in. Go ahead, Tony.
Then we go Rocky 5, and what really hurt Rocky 5 for me, it had potential, but the fact that there wasn't a build up to a final fight, there wasn't a Rocky training montage. There was a Tommy Gunn training montage, but there was a Rocky training montage. You need a Rocky training montage. Now, I like when the ghost of Mickey implores him to get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you.
With the L in the background, with the L going by in the background.
Love it.
But overall, that's what the lack of montages and build up to a final fight, does that.
The only thing worth mentioning in that movie is an uppercut into a septipus. Other than that, I could leave the rest of them.
For number 7 for me is Rocky Balboa, and that is a good. And part of it was because the beginning is so dark. It was a little too dark for me. And life is passing Rocky by. Adrian's passed away. Rocky feels alone. Paulie's extremely bitter. He has a distant relationship with his son. But then when they move to this, the final climax, it moves so fast. It's like, hey, we're going to offer you a fight. Great. Let me start training. And great, it's fight time. It moved a little too fast for me. Plus the fact that the guy that was the white trash thug in the bar, I read for that part and I didn't get it. And I got cut out of the credits. So I harbored a little bit of bitterness towards that one. Then I put the original Creed, which I liked. I liked the original Creed. I enjoyed that. I liked the take on it. I had 3 friends in it. Now the controversial one is I mark next Rocky 3, and I love Rocky 3. Part of it for me, I watch it over and over. I love Hulk Hogan's character. I love Clubber Lang. Some of it is dated. And then what hurts it for me is in the beginning, Rocky is not one of us anymore. He's rich.
Yes.
He's civilized.
Yes.
He's doing commercials now. I bet that director
living in the mansion, all that stuff.
The director that fired him before now probably is groveling to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that beach running scene, I was like, oh, that's cringeworthy.
Very
Yeah,
cringe.
him and Apollo, right? Him and Apollo.
Yeah, him
race
and
over the-
Apollo.
Yep.
I then go to Creed 2, and I like Creed 2 more so because of my 3 seconds of screen time. But I had the chance of seeing Sly work. I saw Michael B. Jordan work. I saw Dolph Lundgren work when his son. So I knew the plot point of Victor getting disqualified because I was there for the scene when he calls for the rematch, and they say, "Oh, because you got disqualified the first fight." But I love having the return of Drago, making him humanized.
Yes,
that made
that's
me-
up there for me.
And then the fact when he ends it by throwing in the towel.
Yes. Yes.
Now another controversial one, rank number 3. I have Rocky 2. Now, as I said, the stretch from win to Yo Adrian, I did it. Favorite in the entire franchise. But in the beginning, it's kind of slow, and Rocky's trying to adjust to life, and so some of that holds it down just a little bit. Now, the reason I got Rocky 4 at number 2 is because I have 3 versions of it. The theatrical version, which we know and love, the director's cut, which came out in 21, and then that combined cut that I was telling you about. The combined cut, it makes Drago, you see a little bit of humanness in him. Like, you can see he's uncomfortable when they're like, especially when his manager's like, gloating about him. You can just see he's, and then he would want to talk, and then his manager would step in and talk instead of him. You could just see that little bit of look in his eyes, like, I'm a person too. And that really solidified it for me. And then, of course, the GOAT, then the number 1. And I say, when that's on, I know what the next 2 hours of my life are going to be.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, look, before we get any further, I kind of want to jump into our we're a sponsor for this week's show, Black Rock Brewing Company. Head on out to Black Rock. Look, if you're looking for great beers, Black Rock has tons of signature beers, many others on tap. Black Rock can also satisfy the foodie in you as well with a great bar menu. So head on over to Black Rock Brewing Company over in Pottsville, PA today. Tell them the boys from Pattison Ave Phanatics and Cole County Entertainment send you. It's Black Rock Brewing Company, 325 Center Street, Pottsville, PA. I had to give a shout out to my guys over at Black Rock. I mean, the name Rock's in the name, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of had to make them this week's shout out.
Love it.
So we all named characters. None of them were obscure characters. I have a couple that I really, I whenever they're on, I kind of giggle. This guy being, probably the top obscure character for me. And the fact that he brings
I don't
back
even remember him.
Spider Rico.
Rico.
In the opening scene of Rocky 1, that's who he's fighting. So he
Horizon.
headbutts him. He headbutts him, and then he pounds him into the dirt.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah.
So
baby Crenshaw.
Justin McNulty, Brandon's brothers checking in. This is a Philly sports show. Yes, sir, it is. Good
We're
buddies
talking
of
about
mine
Philly,
just checking
aren't
in.
we?
Well, we are. But no,
Philly than Rocky.
this is very true. So for me, like Spider Rico, the way that he was incorporated back into Rocky Balboa, and then I'm which one was it? Was it Creed 2 where he went to Spider Rico's funeral?
Yeah, the deleted scene.
Okay, and that to me, that's an obscure character that made its way back into the franchise, which I thought was awesome. You guys, anybody out there have any obscure characters off the top of their head? I know we mentioned Mike from Mickey's Gym. Somebody mentioned that earlier on.
Who was the guy that Gazzo sent him to down in the docks?
What
I
was
don't know
his
if
name?
he even had a name. But
What I should have brought? Yeah, break his thumbs.
yeah.
Yeah. It was no, because he says his name. He's like, "What's your name?" And then he
It's
covers
a grant from Capoli and a yard from
Del Rio.
Del Rio.
Del Rio.
How do you
Yes.
spell Del Rio?
How do you spell Del Rio?
Look
Look it up in a dictionary, Rock.
Oh, the guy's name was Bob. What's your name? Bob.
He was like, keep the coat. Great scene. That's a good
It's
one,
worth
folks.
at least $50-$60.
You don't have to pay. Getzel won't be wise to nothing. It won't be wise to nothing.
I'll tape
Buddy
up my
was-
thumb like you broke it.
Buddy was an obscure character
Yeah.
in the first one.
You know what? He's another one. I always wondered what would happen because Gazzo obviously was in Rocky 2 and he was at the fight when Rocky wins the title. Whatever, like, how do you think Buddy turned around and was like, shit, this guy that I've been like mouthing off to and shitting on now is like, you know,
Champ?
champ.
It's a fun thing to think about. So long, meatbag.
Did you get that license plate number of that truck that ran over your face?
I got an obscure character for you just because of the connection. Now, obviously, especially for the first ones, Rock or Sly would always use, Tony Duke Evers.
That's a good one, man.
Great one.
Real
Great
good one.
Frank Stallone's character, he's the
neighborhood jukebox.
The neighborhood jukebox, the fire barrel.
There's nothing worse than him trying to teach that to Adrian. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
So, did Rocky hire him from the street corner to come sing at his hotel training session? Like, yo, you're really good, neighborhood jukebox. You come sing when I'm training in this hotel.
It's the bum from the dark.
That would get a job, you bum.
So
much. He was one of Clubber's opponents in there. He was one of Rocky's opponents. I'm like, so this guy went from singing at the Trash Barrels to fighting Rocky for the heavyweight title to fighting Clubber as a contender to singing in Rocky's hotel.
It's quite a downfall, isn't it?
It's a character arc.
Absolutely. He had a real sharp character arc. So when it comes to Rockies, now here's one. This will constantly drum up some good controversy. So I wanted to bring this one up as well, and I'm going to start this one off. The soundtracks to these movies are nothing short of incredible. Give me your favorite musical score from this movie. It could be anything. From me, from the Pattison Ave Phanatics show, No Easy Way Out is by far my favorite. When I first started this show almost 9 years ago, it was the opening music for my show. Mike, I'm gonna kick it to you because I know we've been flapping our gums over here. Give me a song from the Rocky franchise to just, like, every time you hear that song, that's, it gets your blood going.
Rocky IV, Hearts on Fire. I mean,
yes.
top to bottom,
one.
That soundtrack is the best of the Rocky franchise. I mean, Living in America is great. Burning Heart is great. But Hearts on Fire, for me, just fantastic, because when the song is playing in Rocky, he eventually lifts he lifts the thing with all the
wagon with all on it.
The wagon, it's fantastic. He goes to the mirror, he pulls the thing off, he has the full beard going. Yeah, totally revs me up. That's
a great one. That's one of my top three for sure. My buddy Mike Miller checking in. Fun fact: his wife refused to go to the zoo with him for a while after the scene where the retards like the zoo. I know it would usually be politically correct. I'm just quoting a movie, so don't hang me. But yes, absolutely, that was a phenomenal scene. Mike, thank you for checking in and tuning in, my brother. So, Fuj, I'll send this one to you. Give me your. If you got to pick one song to listen to from the Rocky soundtrack, what's it going to be?
It's either going to be basically Going the Distance.
Good one.
And it's got to be Hearts on at the training montage, then mixed in with Hearts on Fire. Just get me revved up.
Absolutely, Alan. What do you got when you're out there, when you're in the basement hitting the speed bag? What Rocky song are you listening to?
Gonna Fly. Okay. Or I don't know. Is it better known as Eye of the Tiger?
That's Gonna Fly. Eye of the Tiger is a totally different song.
It's just that is like, it gets me pumped.
Well, being an Eagles season ticket holder, you hear a lot of Rocky music.
Dude, it gets it, dude. That's the kickoff music. Like the Eagle. Like, let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. Oh, let's go. Get me on the field.
Tony Tornado, your Walkman on your hip, your yellow Walkman on your hip with the yellow headphones. I can see him back in the day. What Rocky song is playing in that as your favorite?
Cheat. I actually made a playlist for when I do my boxing workouts.
I love it.
And my playlist starts with 2 songs that are not Rocky related. AC/DC Thunderstruck, White Snake, Here I Go Again. Those are my first 2 rounds.
They're good songs.
My Rocky playlist in the middle, and I'll send it to you guys tonight because I have a picture of it, my whole playlist. I start it in the middle, and it takes me through my next 8 rounds of shadow boxing. And just as the 8th round is ending, my playlist is ending with Measure of a Man. Great song. It then starts.
Measure of Man's the end of Rocky 5?
5. So my playlist starts over when I do round 1 on the heavy bag, and I'm going to do 10 rounds on the heavy bag. Round 1 is Gonna Fly Now. Round 2 is Eye of the Tiger. Oh, where'd Fuji go? Round 3 is Going the Distance. Round 4 is Living in America. As it comes up to round 10, the 10th round, the way I timed it, I didn't do on purpose, I swear. As the bell is ringing to start round 10, it starts off with a 45-second clip of, I'm going to tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a and for 45 seconds, I go balls to the wall. And then when that soliloquy ends, then I got to do the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds while I'm completely spent. And I forget if it's one of the Burning Heart might be playing then. And then I'm like, but then it's like I got to fight through that last 2.5 minutes, and it's great.
Your playlist was so impressive. It knocked Fuji clear out of the lobby. All great songs. I mean, really, when you think about it, like there's a couple of movie soundtracks out there that are great. I look at Forrest Gump as a phenomenal movie soundtrack.
Yes.
But Rocky, these were all original, or mostly original music or score written for the movie itself, which is Mike. Look, Mike, did you say Living in America? Because Barbara's checking.
Say Living in America, but that's a classic song from Rocky IV.
That is another one, and every once in a while you'll be out somewhere and I hear that, and it's just knock me out.
Yep. I love when they do the cities and Living in America. I change it a little bit, so it goes Detroit City, or it's like New York City. Then Detroit City, Dallas, and I say he sucks.
Yes, Pittsburgh, PA.
Then I change that to Philly, PA.
Yes, sir.
Chicago, Atlanta.
Yeah.
New York.
Yes, sir. So, look, I could talk Rocky music all day. I need to break this down. I need to talk this about everyone. We brought it up on the show a little bit last week. Why does everyone hate Rocky V? Why is there such a visceral hatred? Even Stallone himself in interviews said if he could do it over again, he would have changed almost everything about Rocky V. Tony, I'm sure you got some insight on this.
Well, one of the things that I said when I gave it such a low ranking was there's no build up to the end. You know, he has the falling out with Tommy. Great. Tommy takes the title fight, without Rocky. Great. He wins. Great. Gives all the credit to Duke, who never appeared in the franchise until that movie. So this unknown character previously is now an integral part. And then it's like, okay, you got to challenge him to a fight. Okay, great. And then they fight at the bar because he punches Paulie out. You need that Rocky montage. You need Rocky training where you want to train with him and then you get in the ring. Now, like I said, when he gets knocked down and you said like the L's in the background, you see the ghost of Mickey, get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. And the music plays and you see Rocky get up. Okay, that will pick you up, but there's not enough of it.
Right.
Yes.
If they were made that in the concept of a boxing match, I could have, but I know why they didn't, because they had such a larger than life destructive character as in Drago that anybody else in a boxing match would have been a letdown. And you're figuring, how you going to go
from fight is better?
How you going to go from Drago to Tommy Gunn? It's not going to work.
It makes perfect sense too, because then in Rocky Balboa he was a George Foreman type, where training again his age compared to Antonio Tarver or Mason Line Dixon, the age difference made it interesting again to watch him train, and he needs to train in order to get up to some sort of level to fight him. That makes a lot of sense. Sorry, Food, you were about to say something.
No, but when you just to say what Tony was saying in Rocky V when he's fighting in the street with Tommy Gunn, you see the flashbacks before Mick came on at Drago punching him. It was like his whole life was, and Mick stepped in and, he saw the yell going by and the lights. He got up and he's like, one more round.
Yep.
Now in that fight scene for me, Rocky 2 comes in second for Barber. Now in that fight scene, I did like how he harkened back to a little dirty street fighting kind of boxing. Right. It was nice to see because now you got this polished kid and Tommy Gunn. I mean, we all know he was a pretty heavy hitter in real life too. Yeah. So, but a guy like that who Rocky taught him. Thank you, my amazing producer Norman. Now Rocky teaching Tommy Gunn. He basically was like, I didn't teach you everything I know. I taught you all the technical stuff I know. Right. But brother, I'm from these streets. Like I'll bang you through a metal gate. I'll throw you on the street. I'll elbow you in the back and punch you in the back. Like
there's no rules in a fight.
Well, right. if you remember,
if you're in a ring, you got rules. On the street, there are no rules. You can do whatever you need to do to
That's from Creed
protect yourself and make it happen.
But if you remember,
there's no rules in a fight.
You remember when Tommy Gunn came in the bar, knocked Paulie out.
Yeah.
And Duke was egging him on. And he said to the guys in the bar, "Hey guys, this ain't no pie
eating contest."
He was like, you knocked him down, try knocking me down now. And and that's why the character George Washington Duke is losing his mind because he knows,
Tommy Gunn's the meal ticket.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good. Now he's going to step out back and get his ass kicked by Rocky. And
my ring's outside.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep.
So there's like being born and raised in South Philly and growing up in Philly for me. I know it's the same thing. It's like watching the Philly sports teams. I lived out in Delaware County for a while. I'm up in Schuylkill County now. I lived out in Chester County for a while, but I spent the majority of my life living in South Philly. I lived in the Grace Ferry section of South Philly where I was born and raised, and then I lived down 2nd Street in South Philly for a long time. I've been in the Mummers Parade for years, so I've worn a lot of sequins myself, Tony, over the years. But I look at I'm like okay, this movie is supposed to resonate with someone like me. I was born and raised. I was just an average Joe. I'm still an average Joe, or Tom for that matter. I lived minutes from where these scenes were shot, like in Rocky Balboa on Federal Street, the house that he had when Adonis moved in with him and they did all the training. That was literally 3 blocks from the house that I was born and raised in. So, like for me, that's supposed to resonate with me for those reasons. But why? And I'll kind of go to everyone. Why does this franchise resonate with you? And Mike, I'll kick this one to you. What about the Rocky franchise resonated with you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not the toughest guy in the world physically. I am a Philadelphia public school teacher, so I have some tough.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your service. And
thank you for your service.
For those kids, man, they need that shit. They need it. Sir. They need something.
Alan's wife's a teacher as well.
But I'm going to tell you where it's all summed up because a lot of people think Philly and that tough exterior. And I'm going to take you to the scene before the fight in the first Rocky movie where Rocky's lying in bed with Adrian and he says, I can't do it. And he says, all I want to do is to be able to go the distance because if I can go the distance, it'll prove to everybody that I'm not a loser. And that resonates so much with me because following through with anything in life is so important. It's that satisfaction of getting through it. Even if you don't come in first place, you got through it, you did it your way, and, you're not going to be classified as this loser anymore. And, even though Rocky loses the first fight to Apollo, he wins. because
Yes.
Adrian finally says, "I love you," and it gets really deep because oh yeah, Rocky didn't win the fight. It doesn't really matter that he won the fight because he lost the fight, but he ended up winning the love of Adrian, which really was a tremendous springboard for the second Rocky movie, where he eventually wins.
Absolutely. Fooch, how about you, Fooch? What about this franchise? I mean, and it, when to talk about franchises, 8, and 9 technically films. What about this franchise resonates with you?
Just think, Rocky being an underdog. You go back to Stallone. The guy had to sell buckets just to eat, and he had I think they said $106 in his bank account. And I think it resonates for. I don't know if that's the right word to use. It just relates to every Philadelphian. Everybody has like an underdog story about them. Just life. You go back to the Stallone character, the Rocky character. Those guys in Hollywood didn't want Stallone, and he wouldn't sell out. I mean, they wanted Robert Redford, they wanted Burt Reynolds, and Stallone won't give in till John Avildsen, let him play the character. And that was the only way he was going to give up the script or keep the script. He was an underdog. I knew my mom knew him in Abraham Lincoln High School. A lot of people don't know this, but he was born with that. Is it a lisp, I guess, like the way he talked? A lot of people don't know that.
At the side of his mouth, like
Yeah,
but I mean, he was a long shot underdog, and Philadelphia's, it's a lunch pail town. It's always been a blue collar. We wear our emotions on our sleeve. We're more, as they said in the Eagles videos, more gut than glitter, more spit than polish.
Yeah, buddy.
Ain't that the truth?
That's just, we love our sports. We know our sports, and that's just how it is. Like everybody to me, I believe, has a piece of Rocky in them.
I like that, Fooch.
Because the thing of it is, too, if you remember, Apollo was supposed to fight Mackley Green in the first one. And what did he break his third metal tarpal?
Yep.
Yes.
He was gonna put a crack in his head like the Liberty Bell.
Right. Yep. No, but if you remember, Apollo was going through the books, and he saw the Italian stallion Rocky Balboa.
This is right here. This is what I want.
It sounds like
a damn monster movie.
Exactly. So it was like, Rocky was an underdog, as Mike, you would say, a prize fighter, and nobody knew who Rocky was. I mean, Juergens, he thought he was going to see Juergens to be a sparring partner. And, just the whole thing was, the rest is history, as they say.
I love it. Alan, how about you? I know you weren't born and raised in Philly or anything like that, but you got a lot of Philly in you. What about this franchise resonates with you?
The relentless passion to never give up, right? That's what resonates with me. Rocky never gave up. In the first one, that fight, he went the distance. He never gave up. That second fight, they went the distance again. He never gave up. He never gave up in any of these movies against anyone he was ever facing. He went against all the odds and fought through it and just kept fighting, right? Like the great line from Finding Nemo, just keep on swimming, right? Well, he just kept on swinging and
keep punching, Apollo.
Yep, and it just that sense of pride that not giving up gives you, I think, is what resonates. I mean, life gets hard. We all know that.
Yes,
and
sir.
Sometimes it really sucks, and you just gotta punch your way through it.
Yep.
In a Rocky montage, you just got to punch your way through it. So the fact that this character was built on never giving up, I think that's what resonates with me the most.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Tony, how about you? What about this franchise? This tugs at your heartstrings that resonates with you, my brother?
So I was born in 1976. I was born in Philadelphia. I'm Italian, if you couldn't tell. So I always felt like Rocky was a birthright to me, and I've said that in other interviews. Rocky was a birthright, and being petty. If I'm watching, like I think one time I was watching, it might have been like a Flyers Penguins game in Pittsburgh, and they started playing like "Gonna Fly Now," and I'm like, God damn it, you can't have our song.
I didn't authorize this.
Yeah,
Right,
we have so
right.
little here. We have so little. At least let us have Rocky.
Right.
But you know what? It really stuck out to me was when I went to the art museum a couple times for filming events, and just seeing all these people there, and I'm like talking to people, and I'm like, a lot of them are not speaking English. And then when I do the Rocky run every year, and the first year I did it, I wore a black and gold robe. Black and gold robe. I wore a fedora. I had black and gold trunks on, and I met a few people, But then the next few years I did it, and I'm dressed as Thunderlips when I'm going to run. Muscle
Oh
suit,
my
blonde
God.
wig. No, you got to see it. I have sweatpants cut like wrestling trunks. I had the muscle. I showed Hulk Hogan a picture of me dressed as him doing the run
That's awesome.
So good.
while I was singing "Baby Got Back" in his bar. But I'm in this run, and there's 20,000 people there. And I said something to somebody, and I said, "Oh, are you local?" They said, "I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I flew in for this."
Wow.
I was on the train with a guy, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm in." He goes, "I'm in the States right now. I'm doing a couple different marathons, but I'm from like Belgium or Brussels or one of those countries." I mean, there's people there. I'm meeting people that are not speaking English, and I'm like, they're coming there and they're all taking their picture with the art museum. I'll go sometimes during lunch, and these people there, I'm like, these are things growing up in Philly that sometimes I admit I took for granted. Italian market, been there 1,000 times.
Yes, sir.
The steps, sure, seen them, done them. All these things. Where the Philadelphia Spectrum used to be, all that. Old school to me. It's nothing to me. It's everyday life.
Stuff we took for granted.
Yeah, the people that like resonate to it, I'm like, wow, this really is bigger than all of us.
Yep.
No kidding. Well, Norm, that's really awesome, Tony. Norm brought up what's favorite Rocky quote. So going away, getting out of here because we're winding down here. We could do another 3 hours of this.
I'm sure we could.
This now on the spot. Everybody's got a quote. So I'll throw when Mickey calls Rocky a tomato, but it's tomato. That is one of my to this day. That line stands out to me. Sometimes I'll call my kids tomatoes because it's a nice way to give them a hard time. Give me, Mike. I'll start with you. Give me a Rocky quote going out of here that we can take home with us.
Can I have a job?
All you have to do is ask. Alan, how about you? Give me some.
Dude, I brought it up earlier. It's the quote from Balboa. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. Because that's how winning is done. That is like that's it for me.
Fooch, how about you, Fooch? What do you got for me?
I think it's just more of the skit when they're arguing in the gym. And like when little Mike goes, yeah, Mickey's in a bad mood. He goes, yeah, so am I. And then he goes out and he's like, why'd you put my stuff on Skid Row? And he's like, because you're a tomato can. He goes, and then the party's like, you're a second-rate. Mike, do it. Second-rate loan shark. Mike, do that part.
You're a leg breaker.
Oh, wow. I would need to get the exact lines.
You're a leg breaker. You had the talent to be a good fighter, but you ended up being a leg breaker for some cheap second-rate loan shark.
Yeah.
It's a living. It's a waste of life. Going back to the docks where you belong, you dumb dag.
Oh, my God. It's so good. Tony, how about you? Give me on our way out of here. Give me a Rocky quote.
Another one that resonates me from Rocky 4 is when he's going to take the fight with Drago and Adrian doesn't want to, and he goes, to beat me, he's going to have to kill me, and to do that, he's got to be willing to stand in front of me, and to do that, he's got to be willing to die himself, and I don't think he's ready to do that.
I love it.
Before we go, you know what I'm going to send you guys? You guys will really like this if you're Rocky fans. About a year ago, I had a one of those standard hi messages from I know it was a scammer.
Yeah.
and I answered in all Rocky quotes. I said I got fired from a commercial for Beast Aftershave. The director was very rude. But then I went back to all Rocky 1. Are you looking for sparring partners for Creed? Something with Little Marie on the dock. Can you get me an Apple gift card? No, I can't chew apples ever since the Baby Crenshaw fight. I do like.
Oh my God!
I went for 9 pages of it.
That's awesome, dude. That's so awesome.
That's gold.
That's the way to troll somebody. That's a way to troll somebody.
Little Marie who hung down the Atomic Hoagie shop.
I mentioned the Atomic Hoagie shop in there. Can you get me an Apple card? Do they have them at the Atomic Hoagie shop? How about the pet store where Adrian works? That's where I got my my
good.
turtles cup and link.
That's where they got turtle.
And my
you, creepo.
dick.
I love it.
My God! Who are you?
They don't remember the name; they remember the rep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, look, like I said, we could do this for another 3 hours. I want to thank Mike Sherman and Tony Tornado jumping on this today, guys. Thank you so much. This was a blast. We'll definitely have to do a second version of the Rocky Roundtable for sure. So for Mike Sherman, for Tony Tornado, my man Mike Fuji, Alan Andrew Cabbage, I'm Tom Kelly. This is Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. We're out of here.